Yeah, we're here at the CCA Workbench for Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigs and Techniques, and Ron Hueston is going to tell us a little bit about catching the redfish.
Well, the way I look at it is this. We could fill this whole table up with baits.
Yes, sir.
And talk about catching redfish on different baits for an hour.
We could.
But I try to keep it simple.
Yes.
A couple rods on the deck, a couple different baits is how I make it work.
We're going to go through 5 things, so go ahead and start with the rod and reel, I guess.
So generally anywhere from a 3,000 to a 4,000 series reel, 20-pound braid. I like a stiffer rod, not as flimsy as the tip. So 7 foot to 7'3" will suffice for fishing for the redfish.
All right.
When it comes to the bait, here's what I try to do. I use a lot of noise-making baits and flash, but one of the most important things is whenever I throw a bait out, I got 180 degrees peripheral. So not only is the bait out in front of me, but I'm also scanning and listening to my bait.
Right.
Also, 360 degrees around the boat using my ears. So I might hear a pop, a bust, or something behind me, a slurp, I can turn around. But some of the baits that I use is...
Topwater. We're going to start with Topwater
I love
first.
the Topwaters, you know, the 120J Walker. Now, at times, they might not engulf the bait, but you'll see them boiling up behind you. You'll see them trying to eat the bait. You know
their mouth's underneath, so they got to, you know, it's kind of hard for them to get it sometimes.
But I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to attract them. I'm trying to get it to it. Normally, when the bites aren't really good, they're engulfing it. But when I have that problem with the bigger topwater, I just simply grab another rod and downsize to the smaller J Walker.
The smaller ones have a smaller profile. The head doesn't lift the bait out of the way.
It's not as buoyant.
Right.
So here I am. I'm getting no luck. I downsize. I start catching fish. But a couple other things I like to do is nothing beats a noise-making cork.
Right.
I learned this a lot fishing Louisiana and Texas. I applied it to the southern end of the region. I'll troll the motor down the shoreline and fish this like I'm fishing a lure. I'll cast it along the shoreline, pop, 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 stop, pop, 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 stop, keep moving down the shoreline. You'd be surprised what this will do. And I like the chartreuse soft plastic with a chartreuse jig head. He's zoned in on the sound.
Right.
But when he gets there, 18 to 24 inches a leader, where's it at if I'm not moving it? The chartreuse stands out. Normally he'll grab the bait.
And you like to have the paddle tail versus anything else?
Like the paddle tail.
I got you.
So you got the noise and the vibration. Another thing I like is the spoons, a variety of Johnson spoons.
The gold spoon has caught millions of redfish.
I'll tell you what.
Caught my first one, I believe.
Since I was a little kid, I'll start with the bigger ones, depending upon what the size of the bait is. If I'm not catching them on this, then I'll downsize maybe to a quarter. I do like a ½ ounce. I can get it out there further, get more wobble, but sometimes I got to downsize and go to the quarter.
Do you ever put swivels on them? Or?
You know, I do. I use a small swivel like you'll see on this one. I do have a swivel on this one for the line twist. But a lot of times you can use a loop knot.
I gotcha.
Another thing I like to do is roaming mullet, roaming fry bait, schools of bait. Nothing beats a paddle tail. So I'm not trying to bounce the bottom with this one. I'm trying to bring it through the bait, keeping it off the bottom.
Right.
The vibration and bringing it through the schools of mullet or fry bait.
Just a steady retrieve.
Just a steady retrieve. That tail, that wobble, will send off a vibration coming through them bait schools. They'll eat the bait. But when I'm trying to bounce the bottom, this little Bass Assassin P&V, if you notice here,
the Ned rig.
I've got a Ned head. So normally this fall through winter up in the northern end of the region where there's a lot of potholes, trough, and sand, I'm not trying to bounce the bottom. I'm trying to come through. But if the fish are in the troughs or in the potholes, this Ned head stands straight up. Now I'm trying to puff the sand.
Right.
Trying to puff the sand. Trying to puff the sand from pothole to pothole to pothole. So this new little bait right here, this 3.5, combined with a Ned head, I'm already catching fish on it, but I see fall through winter. This is going to be a big game changer for catching redfish on the soft plastic.
Beauty.
And probably one of the most easiest things I like to do to suggest to anybody, I do it down in my end of the region, nothing beats a knocker rig. Okay, I always try to stay in stock at Serenity Bait and Tackle. I'll go in there and buy these baits right here, these finger mullets, a case at a time, because they do go quick. I keep stocking my freezer out in the garage, so when I myself have a tough time finding redfish, I buy these finger mullet.
Cut the tail off.
Now, as you can see, they're still frozen. I keep them frozen the whole time on the boat. So that way, when I go hook one of these with a circle hook, right, it's frozen. So what'll happen is the bait is frozen. It's not soft from laying in the sun. I can throw this bait a lot further, being that it's hard and frozen. I see Murphy over there looking at me. I see this bait out there, throw it out there frozen. When it gets in the water, then it starts to defrost. So now you got more scent going out into the water. And if I'm looking to find some redfish and I'm having a tough time, nothing beats a frozen finger mullet on a knocker rig.
The fish will come to it.
They'll come to you.
We're all done.
All right?
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Never too old to learn.
Gotta love to hear some stuff from Ronnie.
But the midnight, I got another one of his tricks.
Uh-oh, you can't stop him.